makes your five-a-side for the Premier League this season? You can't pick the same player as someone else. It can only be one player per club as well. So you can't be going through Man United, Man United, Man United. I'm talking to myself there, obviously, because I'd be picking all Man United players. Let's start with our wild card. So we're not going to go back to front straight away. So if you had to pick one player straight off the bat, Salim, you go first. I'll be generous to you, Salim. Who are you going first for your best player of the Premier League season in your five-a-side?
I'd probably go Haaland, though. I'll just take it.
Staying safe with Erling Haaland. That's
Stay
it.
safe. I know you just put me on the spot, and I'm thinking about all the players and how they play. But no, Haaland's mine.
Haaland's in your five-a-side. Lewis, go ahead. Who's your wild card for this pick? Who are you going for?
My wild card is none other than Thiago Silva. I think that the man is ridiculous. He's about to sign a new contract with Chelsea. So I'm so happy about that. And it's mad because he's still Chelsea's best defender, which is crazy. So Thiago Silva, 100%.
Talk to me about Thiago Silva, because for someone who doesn't watch Chelsea as much this season, me personally, because I personally found them quite annoying when they're quite crap. I'll be honest with you, when they're crap, they're quite boring to watch. So I'm not going to act like I like watching Chelsea. But what has Thiago Silva brought this season, kind of with their mid-table levels, with their Champions League levels as well, getting knocked out in both the cups as well, Lewis? What has he kind of brought to the table? Because from what I've seen from the outside and from the few games, is this brought that stability, that leadership, and that inspiration to your defense and to your team?
No, all of the above, 100%. Since he came in under Frank Lampard. He brought him to the club, which is mental to think. And what was a 1-year contract is now turned into a 3-year contract. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And he's won a Champions League with Chelsea. He's won a Super Cup. He's won a World Club Cup in that time. The man is a winner. I think if we keep him around, there's potential next season to kick on and potentially win something huge next season with him. And I would love that. And I think, like I said earlier, he is our best defender. There is no doubt about that. And even when Antonio Rudiger was at the club, Silva was still our best defender.
The funny thing I like about Thiago Silva is Thomas Tuchel used to play in a back three as well to actually accommodate the lack of pace and mobility he assumed of Thiago Silva. But it's not the case even in this Graham Potter side. I know you're not playing your best of football and you are quite open defensively, but 9 times out of 10, it isn't Thiago Silva's fault. It's rather your fullback's fault or your holding midfielder's fault, because you're missing N'Golo Kante in that midfield as well. So I do have to say I've been very impressed with Thiago Silva, who I think personally, for a free transfer to Chelsea, may be one of your top 5 signings of all time, in my opinion. Because I think
it's one of the most shrewd. Yeah, well, definitely one of the most shrewd. And the fact that when PSG found out that he'd already agreed to sign for us for free only verbally, they offered him a contract for the exact same wages, having lowballed him. And then he said, no, I've already gave my word to Chelsea, which I will always respect. And again, I think he'll be a coach at Chelsea when he hangs up his boots, if he ever hangs up his boots.
The 26 shirt, it's gone to Koulibaly. I think he should have gone to Thiago Silva, in my opinion. That would have been a better passing of the guard, I would say, from John Terry to Thiago Silva. World-class defender to world-class defender. My wild card has to be the one and only Marcus Rashford, because he's the guy right now at the moment since the World Cup. Gareth Southgate, you have been sour after you having your questions about Marcus Rashford. He just rejected it. He was like, oh yeah, if I played Rashford, then the media would have complained about me not playing this player or this player. But Marcus Rashford has proved, I think it's Haaland, Rashford, they are the two that scored the most goals since the World Cup, which is unbelievable with how consistent Marcus Rashford has been. We are 13 games unbeaten at home, which is fantastic to really see as well. His goal against Arsenal, winning goal of the month, winning player of the month in the Premier League as well. Is this the best you've ever seen Marcus Rashford, lads? What are you thinking?
For me, the main thing about Rashford is I knew he had this kind of thing in his locker, but it was just a consistency part that he's never had. So the form he's showing right now, I've seen him do it glimpses or 1 game or 2 games, but I've never seen him do it this consistently. So there was always a player there. It was just about finding his position or finding a comfortable manager and a system for him. And I feel like we found that now. And there wasn't long ago when you guys beat PSG in the Champions League. I think it was in the Solskjaer when he came in and won all those games, and people were comparing him to Mbappe. I mean, some people, like Arif said, that he was better than Mbappe, but
people still compare him to Mbappe, which I don't get. That's just different levels for me.
He's reached a good level now, and he's finally proving that he's the main man. Because a lot of United fans that I know turn on him as well, saying that he's not the man and he's not good enough for United. But
they called him Trashford. Marcus Trashford, they called him.
Some people, have been I've mentioned that name actually. But no, it's good to see him do well, and it'd be nice for him to hit 20 goals or something this season in the Prem, maybe more. He's not going to get more than Haaland is, but it'd be nice for him to get 20 goals and a couple of assists here and there as well.
I've noticed a change mentally with Marcus Rashford, hence his celebration with the old finger to the head. And I think that his bounce back from the penalty miss in the Euros, as well as Bukayo Saka's, has been none short of legendary. I think that they're both at the top of the game and they've both never been playing better. And I hope that Jadon Sancho can find his groove again, because I love them all as footballers. And again, the abuse they got, I feel like some people genuinely don't deserve this England team that we have at the minute. And I think that the lads all really deserve to bounce back, and 2 or 3 have. So I hope that Sancho does. And although he does play for the scum, as well as Rashford, as well as Saka, I do love them all when they do play for England. And like I said, all but Sancho at the minute are playing. They've never been playing better. So good luck to them.
Right. Being fair, we're going back to front. So we're going goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, attacker in that way. Lewis, start us off with your goalkeeper and your defender.
In goal, I will go for David Raya for Brentford.
Wow.
I think he's an underrated goalkeeper. I think he faces a lot of shots. And I think Brentford would they do well to hold on to him. I know Chelsea in the summer in the market for a goalkeeper. He's seen as quite a cheap option with AC Milan's Mike Maignan. So we'll see. And for my defender, I'm going to go for Sven Botman. I think that he's been fantastic for Newcastle. I really liked him when he played for Lille. He played against Chelsea a couple of times, and whenever I've watched him on BT playing for Lille, as well as Osimhen at the time and Jonathan David, they had a really good team at that point when they won the league. I think he's gone into Newcastle. He's provided stability on the ball. His passing range is a joke for a centre-back. Left-footed centre-back as well. Very hard to come by. And I think that he will take Newcastle to a new level, and they're my picks.
That back four for Newcastle now. I wouldn't be surprised if Salim and I have a Newcastle player in our back line as well, because I'm really looking forward to seeing how Sven Botman can develop, because he also got omitted from that Netherlands side in the World Cup, which was crazy to see. I thought it would have been much better than having some of the centre-backs they had as well. I've been saying this for years, and Salim will know as well, and our listeners will know. Ever since probably one of our first ever podcasts that we had, I said he is a guy that's going to take on Europe. He's going to do so well with the style of play that he has. And kind of like you said with left-footed centre-backs, they're kind of on vogue now as well. Everyone wants a left-footed centre-back who can pass out, play from the back as well, which is fantastic to really appreciate from Sven Botman as well, which is great. And David Raya as well. I know Man United are looking for a new ball-playing goalkeeper as well, so we could be in the market together for someone like David Raya as well. Salim, your goalkeeper and your defender, who are you going to go for?
The goalkeeper one's really obvious. It's Emi Martinez.
Why Emi Martinez, man? Emi Martinez.
He's still, to this day, some of the saves that he makes, he just pulls them out of the bag like that Leeds one and stuff. I think he goes under the radar quite a bit, playing for Villa, but
he doesn't, because it's all over my social media feed. It's probably from you liking all of that content from Aston Villa.
But honestly, he's world-class goalkeeper, can play out from the back as well, great sweeper keeper. So definitely him, but that ruins my chance of getting any other Villa players in.
Are you afraid that he's going to leave this summer? Being a world-class keeper, being a World Cup winner?
He's not going to leave, though, is he?
I wouldn't be too sure. I mean, if someone like Chelsea are looking for a new keeper, if Man United are looking for a new keeper, you're looking across Europe as well.
Sign him.
He's not downgrading. But yeah, we've got Emi, and then for my defender, again, like you're talking about Newcastle, for me, he has to be Trippier.
Ooh,
that whole back line for Newcastle. Sven Botman, what a shout. That was somebody we were linked with and it didn't happen. But, shout out to Mings as well. He's turned it around considerably since Gerrard's left.
Goalkeeper for me, I'm going to go Newcastle, Nick Pope. I think, was it 14 clean sheets now this season? I think it's 12 in a row or something like that before he conceded a goal. Well, he's improved his game so much under Eddie Howe, and Newcastle United are in debt to this defence, because defence actually wins you titles and leagues, and that's why Newcastle have been so consistent in this top four race, which is unbelievable so far to say out loud, only a year after actually getting their ownership changed, which is crazy to imagine. My defender for this season, I don't want to risk it, because if I pick this player, I know I can't pick this attacking player, but I know one of you will have this attacking player. So for my defender, I'm going to have to go for, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. John Stones is my Man City player. because I'm risking it on a different team for my attackers. So yeah, John Stones is my guy. I think for me personally, I don't want to say he's underrated or under the radar because his Manchester City has been in the team quite a lot as well. But before that little injury he had as well, I thought even from September, October time as well, before the World Cup, he was in bright form. He was fantastic for Manchester City. And when you're looking at how they're playing now with their fake centre-backs and their fake full-backs as well, Rico Lewis playing as a second defensive midfield, you've got Akanji and you've got Ake. They are missing John Stones like mad. So if I need to put a Manchester City player in there, I could have gone for a midfielder or a winger from Man City. But I think John Stones is just a tidy option for me personally. I think he's been fantastic. And for me personally, probably one of the top 3 England players at the World Cup as well. I thought it was fantastic this season from John Stones. And he definitely deserves a lot more praise than he gets. Lewis Dunk, he gets a shout out as well. And I think Tim Ream from Fulham also gets a shout out as well. Because for them to be in the top half doing consistently well, you have to mention some of these teams doing fantastic in themselves.
Did you hear what Pep said about Tim Ream? Saying, if you were 26 and not 36, you'd be playing for me.
Oh my God. That's so rude about his age. It's just ages Pep Guardiola is. It's crazy. So Salam, who have you got in midfield? You can't pick Emi Buendia anymore, so you pick your Villa player. So that's that.
You know what? I had a choice of 2 here, which both have impressed me. Actually, there's 3 that have impressed me this season. All 3 of them being Arsenal players, being Saka, Odegaard, and Martinelli. But I've had to go for Odegaard.
Thank God.
One of you probably has Saka in, but all 3 of them have impressed me. And this Arsenal title race, I've really enjoyed watching him play this season. But Odegaard, a player that he broke onto the scene quite young, 16, playing for his country. And at the time, I thought he must be quite decent, and then he got that move to Real Madrid and it kind of fizzled away kind of thing. Like you didn't really see anything.
Couple of loan moves here and there.
Yeah, he was at Sociedad, I think, and then
Vitesse as well, I think.
Arsenal. Yeah, it came to Arsenal on loan as well, and like he wasn't really pulling the trees down, as you'd like to say. But now when you see him, he's sort of one of the best players in the league. He's giving De Bruyne a run for his money there. And, they made him captain as well. That's massive backing. He's still like such a young player and he's learning every game. And for me, he's going down as he could potentially go down as one of the best midfielders we've had in the Premier League.
The comparisons to De Bruyne, I think they're a bit too early. I think we have to see Arsenal win a couple more things than just the FA Cup a couple of years ago.
Still early days.
Lewis, one thing on Martin Odegaard as well. Just before I continue to your suggestion as well for your midfielder, I beg it's not one of my players. I beg it isn't this Arsenal player that I'm going to pick. With Martin Odegaard,
it probably is, mate.
Oh, God's sake,
it probably is, mate.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. I picked Rashford for a reason.
I'm building suspense.
That's okay.
Odegaard. No, I'm a big fan, bro. I'm a big fan. I've been lucky enough to watch him live when he was a teenager, when he was playing for Heerenveen against Ajax. Ooh. I was lucky to watch that at the Johan Cruyff Arena, and he stood out a mile there, and he was only about 18. And it was when he was on the books for Real Madrid, and he's just evolved into this elegant player that's almost Zidane-like the way he dribbles with the ball. And he genuinely looks like he's having so much fun playing for Arsenal, and they've given the armband this season for a reason. And look at what's happened as a result under his captaincy at the top of the league. And they're going to definitely qualify for the Champions League next year, which, given how Arsenal's been in recent memory, you take that and take someone's hand off for that as well, as an Arsenal fan, the Champions League and being top of the league in February. So I think that he's a great player. Really enjoy watching him, and it's just a shame he plays for Arsenal, really.
It really is. It's really bad to see how Odegaard has evolved as an Arsenal. He's going to be a cult hero. He's going to be a legend if he stays and wins a couple more things as well. But it's been fantastic to really watch this season as well. But yeah, Lewis, go ahead, break my heart. Who have you got in your midfield for your team?
Nah, I've just completely swerved you, bro. Like I said, I'm just building up suspense. My player is Mitoma from Brighton.
Ooh,
I think this boy.
You got to talk about Mitoma.
This boy, he cost 4.6 million. He was playing university football, I believe, 3.5-4 years ago. He's just another example of Brighton finding another diamond in the rough, as well as Mac Alister. etc., etc. I'm not going to name all here. We'd be here all day, genuinely.
Saicedo, Pascal Gross. We're looking at some of their amazing midfielders. De Zerbi is just working wonders with this team. It's fantastic to see how, even with Graham Potter leaving,
for nothing. No, I was saying they buy them for absolutely peanuts and sell them for an absolute wedge. Like Cucurella, they bought for around 10 to 15 million and sold him for 60, 13 months later. And I think that they just continue to do it. Prior to that, they did it with Ben White, sold him for 50 million. Again, he's kicked on at Arsenal, but as a right back, we didn't really expect that to happen. But again, Brighton's model, I'll ask you the question, Hamza. Is it sustainable really for Brighton? And if so, how long for really to keep doing this?
I think it is sustainable, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. First of all, you have to look at another team in the Premier League who have done that previously, Brentford. And they've done so well with how they've continued to reinvest their money. It shows the importance of scouting, and it shows the importance of recruitment as well. And I heard Tim Howard say it recently, I think it was on American TV just after the World Cup, about how it's so important for these smaller Premier League teams, not so much smaller, but the ones that have a less budget, in terms of how they have to really value who they're buying. Unlike Chelsea, unlike Man United, they can't waste their money on some of these 50, 60 million pound players. They have literally 50, 60 million pounds in their budget for the year, for both the summer and both for January as well. So to buy someone like Mitoma, when you're looking at Brentford, Salim's mentioned it a number of times in terms of buying Ivan Toney, reinvesting their money that they had for Ollie Watkins, if I remember correctly, Salim as well. Or was it Konsa that you bought from them? So it goes to show that this sustainable model is sustainable for a reason. And you're seeing it all across Europe. I say this all the time when I bring up this team up. Benfica, you're looking at RB Salzburg, you're looking at Sporting Lisbon, Porto, you're looking at some of these amazing teams that reinvest money year in, year out. Prime example for you, my friend Lewis. Enzo Fernandez cost Benfica £10 million in the summer. He only stayed there for 6 months, fam. 6 months. And you paid £110 million roughly for him as well.
Too hot for him in Portugal. Too hot.
It was just ridiculous to see how this model goes. And I'm really happy seeing this in the Premier League as well. You're seeing these young up-and-coming players. Mitoma, I think, is 25 years old. 5 goals this season. He's won 8 of the games, lost 4 of them as well. He's assisted once. The fact that he has 5.79 carries as well into the final third. He literally owns that left side of the field where he plays, and De Zerbi is working wonders with this Brighton side. So to have someone like Mitoma in your five-a-side team, Lewis, on one of these five-a-side pitches, I think you're breaking someone's ankles here. That's all I'm saying, man. Mitoma is just the guy right now. He's hot to handle. That goal against Liverpool in the FA Cup, 90th minute, 90 plus minutes, I should say, fantastic. The goal against Bournemouth as well. And I loved it as well, because he came off the pitch saying, he didn't say it to an English press, he said to someone else, he's like, oh, I'm so disappointed with my performance. I can do better. The team can do better. So humble in himself as well. And I really enjoy watching players like Kaoru Mitoma. So fantastic player and fantastic shout there, Lewis. Right, my midfield, I'm going to go literally back to basics. I'm going to pick my Arsenal player. Now I'm going to go for Bukayo Saka, who I think is too hot to handle as well. I think Bukayo Saka, with his 5 assists this season as well, and with his leadership on the pitch as well, I really believe that this is Bukayo Saka's season to actually win the Premier League. Genuinely, I think Arsenal are going to win this if they have it within their grasp. And I think it's been fantastic to really watch. Big shout out to Miguel Almiron as well. I would have picked him if I hadn't picked Nick Pope for my goalkeeper. I think it's been amazing, especially from the end of last season to the beginning of this season as well. It's been fantastic to watch. But realistically speaking, it's probably too early to call, but would you say Bukayo Saka is in the running for young player of the season? I know player of the season may go to Erling Haaland, but do you reckon young player could go to Bukayo Saka?
I think he could win both. He's somebody that, again, like when he came through, I was like, oh, I'm not too sure. I don't really see the hype, but this season I've definitely seen how good a player he is, and got so much potential. The only thing is, I hope Arsenal can keep hold of him and he doesn't go elsewhere. And, it'd be nice to see Arsenal build this sort of. I know as much as Lewis probably hates me saying it, but it'd be nice for them to build this sort of star-studded team of youngsters that have come through, trust the process, all or nothing, everything combined.
Arteta in forever. That's what Arsenal fans are saying right now. They love the process. They hated it for 2.5 years, but they love it now. Is he the main man at Arsenal right now? Is he literally the guy that's making everything tick?
I think Bukayo Saka is the embodiment of every young Arsenal fan at the minute, and he is the guy that they're looking forward to, who he sold the fans the dream. And again, no one loves anything better really than a redemption story. And like we said earlier, Saka's on that, and he's took Arsenal to new levels, as well as, again, Odegaard. And again, majority of the Arsenal team have lifted the levels by about 100 this season. Someone who was down and out in Granit Xhaka and never thought would play for Arsenal again is, again, a redemption story. Again, it's fantastic to see.
Right then, everyone's last pick. So I know Salon's picked a striker, but obviously you can pick whoever you want. Lewis, you can pick whoever you want, and I can pick whoever I want. So choice is yours. Lewis, we'll go with you.
This one was quite hard in terms of I really wanted to pick Ivan Toney, but I thought David Raya deserved his flowers, and rightfully so. I have gave him his flowers, but this was genuinely was the hardest one to think when you mentioned the segment, but.
I think Ivan Toney paid you not to pick him. I think it's been a bet. I think that's the case with Ivan Toney. He's like, yeah, you can't be picking me. It's an easy bet. So he's listening to Friday Night Counterattack somewhere, and he listens to the Cookie podcast on a weekly. And he's like, yeah, Lewis, you can't be placing me in here as well. It's crazy to see.
Mate, he constantly follows the bet of the week. He constantly follows the bet of the week on the Cookie Pod.
He's scheming.
I'll stop stalling. My pick is going to be Mitrovic. I thought about it, and I thought, this man, again, sticking with redemption, is he just a championship striker? We've always said the Prem's too hard for him. He's too good for the championship. Fulham are a yo-yo team, and him and Fulham this season have just showed that they are not a yo-yo team. Players like Paulinho have been a fantastic signing. Willian has got his second wind in his renaissance at Fulham, which is great to see. You've got Mitro scoring goals. It just really is good to see at Fulham, and you've got players like Harrison Reed who are just doing all the legwork. Tim Ream, again, 36 years old, is playing fantastic.
Andreas Pereira, I have to mention as well.
Great to see. Great to see. Yeah, great signing. Absolute bargain that. In hindsight, absolute bargain. Because again, question marks over him when he left Man United. Is he good enough to play in the Premier League? And again, he has showed. I am good enough to play in the Prem.
And for him to be the number one guy for Serbia at the World Cup as well, ahead of Vlahovic, I thought that was fantastic. And nice shout. Good variety of your team there, Lewis. I'm surprised there's no Man United players, but I know you didn't want to put the scum in your team, so I appreciate that.
The scum, and I didn't want it to be boring for the listeners where I doubled up on any players. So I tried to be a little bit creative, but also with giving players who don't really get the spotlight, the flowers at the same time.
Absolutely. No, I love it. Salim, are you going to do that as well?
Nah, I want to go with someone that hates Villa, actually, and I'll go with James Maddison.
Ooh.
You know, he's posted good numbers again. Newcastle signed him. Again, I feel like if he wasn't at Leicester, then they would have probably been relegated, you know, like really down there at the bottom. Maybe not relegated, but, you know, they'd be quite far back. But yeah, James Maddison hates Villa, but he's made my team, ironically.
Literally the creative spark for Leicester City this season. Was taken to the World Cup as well. Didn't get his chance to shine at the World Cup or even play at the World Cup, which I thought was an embarrassment. When you have that talent available, Brendan Rodgers is literally building this team that he has around James Maddison, kind of dropping out Jamie Vardy from the starting lineup every now and then to allow James Maddison to flourish. And he does. Sometimes he plays on the wing, sometimes he plays as an attacking midfielder. But I've been very impressed with James Maddison this season. And I, for one, think this is his last season at Leicester before a big team come calling for him. He should be playing in the Champions League. He should be playing in these bigger competitions as well. And if the ambition is there for James Maddison, he will be making that move. Am I going to be boring and pick Harry Kane to make an English five-a-side? Am I going to go Brexit? I don't know. Maybe
would be proud.
Dyche would be proud of me. Nigel Farage would also be very proud of me. But I'm not sure. How am I going to go about this? I'm going to go for a player who I think just brings a lot more joy to the Premier League with him inside. But this guy, I think, has just been so consistent with what he's been doing this season. We can't go for a wing. Well, I'm going to put Rashford up front. I'm going to put Saka on the right. And I'm going to go for Alexis Mac Alister. I think I need to put Mac Alister in there as well. The consistency this guy has had since he's been at Brighton and Hove Albion, and for him to be a World Cup winner as well, I think it's an absolute fantastic player to watch. And I think Alexis Mac Alister goes into my team. What's he brought to the Premier League, and what do you think he can continue to bring to the Premier League as a baller for Brighton this season? Because again, 6th position, 5 points behind Tottenham in 5th as well. Fantastic season so far for Alexis Mac Alister and for Brighton.
Yeah, I think that this boy, again, he's not even been in England that long. Another Graham Potter signing. Another Brighton bargain. I think he's going to cost between around 60 to 80 million. I think Brighton are really going to jack up the price on him, and the albatross around his neck will be, well, he's a World Cup winner. And Enzo Fernandez has just gone for, if Chelsea get in the top 4, it'll be £115 million.
Ooh.
So they need to get into Europe, hence why they've stayed in January. That's why they really wouldn't let Caicedo go, because Brighton have never been in Europe. And if they can get in Europe, they can be like, okay, you've helped us secure European revenue. Now you can go, but you're not going to go cheap because you've got about 4.5 years left on your contract. So I just think that Brighton, they're going to ask for a lot of money. I think that he brings a lot of hard work to every team, class on the ball. And I think only playing with better players is going to make him a better player, hence winning the World Cup, playing with Messi, playing with some ballers. And I think he deserves a move. I genuinely could see him getting a move potentially to one of the big teams in La Liga, i.e. a Barca or a Real as well. I think that all South Americans really see that as the be-all, end-all, and they never really turn it down. And it's really hard to say no when they even look in that direction. So I think he's destined for big things. I really do.
I love that about Brighton as well. They'll go anywhere in the world to buy a player. They won't, what's the term? They won't discriminate against certain leagues or think, oh, will they do it in the Premier League? Will they not do it? Like Mitoma, people don't know. He was on loan for 2 years before he actually came back to play for Brighton in the first team. Literally, they bought him from a university team, Brighton did, when Brighton just got into the Premier League, or a couple of years after they got into the Premier League. Then he went on loan for 2 years, I think in the Netherlands, and then he came back to play in the first team. Salim, what's your thoughts on Alexis Mac Alister?
He's another one of those Graham Potter signings. I don't know how Brighton do it. He's quality in the Premier League, and then he's gone and won a World Cup, just like Lewis said, playing with people like Messi and Emi and these guys, can only help him. But they sold Trossard, who was one of their better players this season, and they won the next game 3-0 or something anyway. So I don't know how they do it, and Lewis probably hoping that Chelsea can start pulling off these kind of signings. But again, I don't know. It comes back to whether Potter's the right fit for them. But yeah, no, I don't know how Brighton do it. Another player they've got in that's class. I just don't know how they keep doing it, signing players this cheap and then selling them for these massive sums of money.
I think the three of us all know what they do. They all just play Football Manager. The recruitment team play Football Manager. They're all doing manager modes in different countries and thinking, this guy's good, this guy's good, this guy's good. And then just compile all the data, give it to their analyst. And then they sign a player in real life. That's everyone's teams. I still can't believe I'm the one that just has the Man United player. It's probably the Man United fan in me. I know it's the Man United fan. Having a Chelsea fan and a Villa fan who hates Man United, it's a combination for anti-Man United. But we're all anti-Spurs tonight, which I love. And we're anti-Liverpool as well. No Liverpool players in this club. I love it. We're not having Liverpool at all.